The National Lotteries Commission board says it's probing numerous cases of corruption at the entity. Board chairperson Barney Pityana says the situation at the commission is worse than he initially thought. He joins us now. Professor Pityana, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. So a situation that is even more devastating from a corruption perspective than what we already know. What exactly is it that you have found that has led to this comment?
Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you to our listeners. The investigations are underway, both by the SIU. We've set up a whistleblower hotline, and reports are streaming through from members of staff and other members of the public. All of those are being investigated. New matters are coming in from various partner organizations. I have been with my colleagues in the board visiting as many of our provincial offices as we can, and again, these matters actually do surface, and they have to be investigated, and none of this is just completely total and founded. And in due course, information will be provided on the outcomes of the investigations that are underway. Some of the senior staff implicated have been suspended, and disciplinary processes will follow. As that happens, it is important to bear in mind that the work of the board and the work of the commission carries on, and that work includes regulating the national operator of the lottery, receiving regularly the resources from the national operator. The distributing agencies are meeting regularly and distributing funds as we speak, and large numbers of staff are dedicated to serve the people of our country and to make sure that resources are made available to meet good causes.
Prof. Pityana, you talk about the members of staff that have been suspended. I would imagine that more and more what is becoming apparent is that this corruption was enabled by individuals that are operating from, within the walls of the NLC. How pervasive is it, and does it drill down even to what is happening in the provinces? Are we seeing any, evidence implicating people at that level too? How far-ranging, or rather how wide-ranging are those suspensions?
Pervasive is a very big word, Kathy. But what I can say is that we are receiving whistleblower reports from the provincial offices implicating some members of staff in the provincial offices. So far, the members who have been suspended are members of the executive too, or the members of the executive at the head office in Pretoria. But really, the reports that we are now investigating are pertaining to some allegations about what is happening in the provinces, and some of the allegations within the national office as well.
Part of the reason why I asked that question, Prof, is that ultimately the work of the Commission has to continue, and that also includes the distribution of funds to those NPOs that really need it most. So how do you ensure that that web of corruption that has been fed through monies of the NLC is not continuing under your watch simply because of the involvement of some of the staff members?
Thank you very much for that question, Kathy, because it's very, very pertinent. Almost at the beginning, we wanted to provide a balanced view of the National Lotteries Commission, and that means that we have to create an institutional culture that really recognizes and respects the Act and the imperatives that are set out in the Act as the core mission of the National Lotteries Commission. And that means that the value of the staff who are operating the Commission, and many of them are seeing to it they do the right thing, is asserted, and we set an environment where they can happen. The second thing we've been doing is to look at the regulations and the policies and making sure that the irregular expenditures that we have had do not continue. Likewise, we have for a moment paused on the grants that were made directly without application, which is allowed for in our law. But we find that most of the malfeasance really has been through those grants that were made. And those have stopped until we have made sure that the regulations are tightened up and make sure that, in fact, they are used to serve the purpose for which they were intended. So that work of regulating and controlling and managing is going on. Alongside that, where necessary, consequential management is taking place. And alongside that, work of the distributing agencies and the people are applying and they are receiving their money that is due to them. And again and again, we review those allocations that have been made, and that work is continuing. So as far as the National Lotteries Commission is concerned, there is no crisis, and that indeed the work of the Commission to serve the most needy causes of our people is continuing.
Are we likely to see a blacklisting of those organizations that are identified to have primarily benefited from corrupt relationships?
Kathy, we are under an obligation to do so. That will definitely happen. As soon as the investigations, there are multiple investigations taking place. There's the SIU investigation. There may well be some Hawks investigations taking place, but there are also internal investigations being undertaken right now as we speak. As the individuals and organizations that are complicit in wrongdoing are unearthed, as disciplinary processes continue, the logical consequence of that will include the blacklisting of organizations that have been complicit in the wrongdoing.
Professor Barney Pityana will leave it there for tonight. He's the chairperson of the National Lotteries Commission.